Morning everybody, day 6 of doing the daily vlog, and woke up to the surprising news that Britain has decided to vote out of the EU. Now, I'm not a political expert. I have no fucking idea what the implications for this are for Britain going forward. I find it very interesting that it was almost predictable what people was going to vote on based on region and based on based on age. Young people overwhelmingly voted to remain, whereas older people overwhelmingly voted to leave. What's the reasons behind that? Potentially younger people consider being part of Europe more part of their identity, perhaps. I honestly don't know. And I really don't know how this now affects our future. Thinking immediately short term, how does this affect Manchester United? How is this going to affect our transfers? How is this going to affect us signing players? I can just about remember the first forays into Europe when we won the league in 1993, when we got absolutely and utterly fucking dicked by Barcelona 4-0 because we had to play the likes of Gary Walsh in net rather than Peter Schmeichel. Cantona was considered a foreigner. I'm not sure if Cantona might have played actually, but we had to restrict ourselves because the likes of Ryan Giggs, Mark Hughes were classed as foreigners. The Irish players classed as foreigners. Obviously the French, Kanchelskis, they're all classed as foreigners. Now if we move back to that, like, is the Premier League fucked, let alone United? I can't see the Premier League introducing a self-imposed quota, because that's going to completely and utterly fuck them. I don't know how this foreigner thing's going to work. I don't know how this, us not being part of the European Union, technically all of these people now need work permits because there's no free trade. Now the Premier League, I suppose, can ignore the work permit thing if they choose, I guess. This is another, I simply don't know. But from a pure technical point of view, now when this comes in, which I think it's got a 2-year transition period, when this comes in 2 years, potentially Anthony Martial, David De Gea, Daley Blind are all foreign footballers. And not foreign in the, obviously, of course they're foreign, but in terms of that there's a work permit required for them. And there's, you know, a couple of rules. I think it's 3, you're allowed 3 players on work permits now at the moment. I don't know how it's going to affect it. I don't know how effect it's going to have in terms of away travel. We're in the Europa League this year. We've got some pretty long journeys. Is there now going to be, obviously it's not going to affect this year, but using this year as an example, how does this affect us going forward? Does it mean that we're now now having to organise visas for away travel? Is there going to be an increase in the duty that's required on all airplane tickets or all travel into certain countries? Do we currently get a good deal because we're part of a one market in Europe? I don't know. I'm shocked, to be honest. I thought the country was going to vote leave, so I wasn't thinking they was going to vote leave. Thought they was going to stay. Manchester voted to stay, so being a young person-ish, I'm still in the bracket that voted remain. And from Manchester, in my head I'm thinking everyone was going to vote remain. Obviously, clearly was not the case. I find it interesting that you can vote in some of the local elections at 16, but not in this election. It seems like old people have voted us out. Old people have voted for a future that young people don't want. If people were sitting on the fence, then choose to remain, don't you? Because then it doesn't change anything, and we've always got the option. We can always go to Europe and negotiate a better deal, perhaps, for ourselves. When you throw the fucking teddies out of the pram, you flip the table over and you go, fuck you, we're out. Well then, you're out. There's no way back. Saw a really good analogy yesterday on the Lad Bible. It's like being in a club with your mates, having a bit of a shit night, decide to leave and go somewhere better. You can't get in anywhere better. You can't get back into the place that you've just left, and you end up in a kebab shop arguing about whose fault it is. I think that's what's just happened. Don't know what's planned for today. I'm going to try and go for some lunch with my nana. Get my hair cut early doors. There's no football on today, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot to talk about with how this is going to affect everybody going forward. The stock market just completely nosediving cannot be a good sign, can it? And I see people mitigating, saying, oh, no, it's a time of uncertainty, that sort of stuff happens. Yeah, it's a time of uncertainty, but if it was a positive thing, wouldn't it shoot up? Oh well. See what the rest of today brings, eh? Apologies, the quality might be a bit shit, but there's a bit of northern quarter out there. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
I got that as well, I think. Nice one, Phil. In a bit, you recorded.
See you later. It was sunny when I left the house this morning. We've just been for lunch with my nan. I thought I had a dog, not a parrot.